Hey everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki,
Oh, yeah.
a book that's been, it's had its time in the sun, and we thought it'd be fun to revisit it
Absolutely.
and see what, see what it's all about.
Yeah.
So are you ready to kind of
Let's dive.
dive into some of these ideas about money and wealth and see if they hold up?
Yeah, definitely Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's a classic for a reason. It throws some curveballs at the way we
Yeah.
traditionally think about money.
Yeah, okay. So to set the stage for our listener, the book is kind of built around this idea that Kiyosaki had two dads, right? His biological father, who he calls poor dad,
Right.
and then his friend's father, the rich dad.
Yeah.
And it's really their contrasting perspectives on money and work that kind of make up the core of the book.
Yeah, that's the framework. And, one of the big things Kiyosaki argues is that most of us are taught to just work for money,
Mm.
get our paycheck, and then pay taxes and spend what's left over without really understanding how to build wealth, how to make our money work for us.
Yeah, it's like we're stuck on this treadmill, right?
Yeah.
You're working hard, but you're not actually getting ahead financially. That's what he calls the rat race, right?
Exactly, the rat race. And he uses his experiences working for his rich dad as a kid
Right.
as a way to illustrate this. Like, imagine working for 10 cents an hour.
Wow.
But the real value wasn't the wages. It was the lessons.
Right.
He was learning about money.
So it wasn't really about the money itself. It was more about the mindset and the lessons.
Yeah, the financial education.
What was like the big takeaway from that for him?
Well, he realized that, financial success isn't just about trading time for money in a job.
Right.
It's about building something that can generate money without him constantly working at it. What he calls building an asset column.
Okay, so this idea of an asset column, can you break that down a little bit more for our listener?
Sure. So think of it this way. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket even when you're not actively working. So it could be a rental property that brings in monthly income, or stocks that pay dividends, or even a business that generates profits.
And this is where Kiyosaki really kind of challenges the conventional wisdom, right?
Mhm.
Because he says a house, which most people think of as an asset,
Right.
is actually a liability.
Yeah.
That was mind-blowing to me the first time I read that.
Yeah. He argues that a house actually drains your cash flow,
Okay.
because the mortgage, the
Yeah.
property taxes, the repairs, and all the expenses that come with it.
So instead of sinking all your money into a house, he suggests like minding your own business, as he puts it.
Yeah.
Building that asset column through things like real estate stocks or maybe even starting a company. So it's not just about working a job, it's about creating something
Right.
that generates income even when you're not actively working on it.
That's the path to what he calls financial freedom.
Yeah.
It's about diversifying your income streams and having your money work for you instead of the other way around.
Yeah, and to really do that effectively, you need to be financially literate, right? Kiyosaki talks a lot about understanding financial statements, learning about different investing strategies, and just being savvy about how money works.
Absolutely. It's about taking control of your finances and making informed decisions. And one thing he highlights is the power of corporations,
Okay.
particularly their tax advantages, which is something a lot of people don't really consider.
So what do you mean by tax advantages? Can you give an example?
Corporations are structured differently than individuals when it comes to taxes. Let's say you're a freelancer
Right.
and you buy a new computer for your work. You might be able to deduct part of that cost on your taxes. But a corporation might have wider range of deductions available, which can lead to some serious savings.
So it's not just about earning money, it's about understanding how to keep more of what you earn
Exactly.
and using the system.
Using the system to your advantage.
Yeah, to your advantage. And I think Kiyosaki also talks about this idea of learning a little about a lot. He's not like a specialist in any one area.
Yeah, he doesn't believe in limiting yourself
Yeah.
to just one area of expertise. He encourages trying different things constantly, seeking new knowledge and opportunities.
He seems to really embody that himself, right?
Absolutely.
From his real estate stuff to his books to his speaking engagements, he's always kind of exploring these new avenues.
Yeah, he's a serial entrepreneur, always looking for new opportunities.
Yeah, and it's not just about dabbling. It's about really understanding
fundamentals.
understanding the fundamentals and constantly seeking to expand your knowledge.
Yeah, and I remember that story he tells about buying a really cheap house,
Oh, yeah.
fixing it up a little bit, and then flipping it for a profit.
Yeah.
And it was such a clear illustration that you can create value and generate income without needing like years of experience or tons of capital.
It's a classic example of how you can create money rather than just earn it.
Yeah.
It's about seeing opportunities and leveraging your knowledge to generate wealth. So it's not about waiting for some, magical windfall or lottery win. It's about taking action and building your financial future step by step.
Exactly.
And another big principle he talks about is paying yourself first. What does that mean?
So paying yourself first means prioritizing your financial well-being by allocating money to your asset column before paying bills
Okay.
or making other expenses.
Okay.
It's about putting your future self first.
I mean, that's got to be a tough habit to beat, right? Especially if you're
Yeah.
starting out and you're kind of feeling financially stretched.
Yeah, it takes some adjusting, for sure.
Yeah.
It's about shifting your mindset. Instead of saving and investing being an afterthought, it's about making it a priority.
Right, from the get-go.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's about kind of building those financial muscles early on.
Yeah, and Kiyosaki has some really compelling examples of how this can pay off. He talks about a friend who took a portion of his children's college fund
Oh, wow.
and invested it in real estate.
Okay, that sounds a little risky.
It might seem that way, but with careful planning and a bit of risk tolerance,
Right.
his friend ended up not only securing his kid's education, but also setting himself up for a comfortable retirement.
So he was able to do both.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
That's a powerful example of how investing can really work out. I think a lot of people, though, they get stuck in fear and cynicism when it comes to investing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in doubts,
Yeah.
especially with all the complexities of the financial world.
Yeah.
But Rich Dad, Poor Dad really encourages readers to overcome that fear and take control of their financial future.
He also talks about this idea of being an Indian giver.
Yes.
Which is this concept of giving to receive.
Right.
What does he mean by that?
So it's a bit counterintuitive, but he believes that generosity and sharing knowledge can actually create more abundance.
Oh, okay.
He sees it as a way to build relationships, contribute to a community, and ultimately open yourself up to receiving more in return.
So it's kind of like that idea that you get what you give. Okay, so instead of hoarding information and resources, it's more about sharing and collaborating and...
Exactly. And recognizing that financial success isn't a zero-sum game.
Right.
By helping others and sharing what you know, you can create a more prosperous environment for everyone.
Now, it's worth noting that Rich Dad, Poor Dad has received its share of criticism over the years.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Some people argue that his advice is oversimplified or that he doesn't adequately address the risks involved in certain investments.
Right. And it's important to remember that what worked for Kiyosaki might not work for everyone.
Especially with, the economy always changing.
Exactly. The economic landscape is constantly evolving.
So it's really crucial to do your own research, consider your own circumstances, and most importantly,
think critically about the principles and decide which ones resonate with you and your financial goals.
Yeah, because ultimately you are the captain of your own financial ship.
Exactly. You get to choose which path you want to take.
Right.
And which strategies you want to implement.
Okay, so if we zoom out a bit, what would you say is like the big takeaway from Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
I'd say the core message is that financial freedom comes from building an asset column that generates passive income.
Okay.
It's about shifting your mindset from working for money to having your money work for you.
Yeah.
It's about breaking free from that rat race.
Right.
And creating a life where your income isn't directly tied to your time and effort.
So it's not just about getting rich, it's about having the freedom and choices that come with financial security.
Exactly. And that message can resonate with people at all stages of their financial journey.
Yeah, it's about taking control of your financial future and creating a life that aligns with your values and aspirations.
Now, it's important to note that Rich Dad, Poor Dad offers just one perspective on financial literacy.
Right.
There are many other approaches and strategies out there.
Of course.
And it's important to find what works best for you.
And it's not about getting rich quick, right? It takes effort and learning and sometimes taking calculated risks. But the key is to just start taking action.
Absolutely.
And building that financial foundation.
Even if you don't agree with every single point in the book,
Right.
there are some valuable insights that can benefit anyone.
Okay.
Understanding the difference between assets and liabilities, managing cash flow, making wise investments. These are all foundational principles for a healthy financial life.
So to wrap up this deep dive, what's our final thought for our listener? Something to ponder as they go about their day.
I'd ask them to imagine their ideal life. If money was no object,
Okay.
what would it look like?
Yeah.
What would they be doing?
Love it.
and then challenge them to think about what small step they could take today
Yeah.
to start building that future.
I love that. It's about connecting those financial principles to your personal dreams and aspirations. It's about realizing that financial freedom isn't just about money. It's about the choices and opportunities it provides. It's about living life on your own terms.
Exactly. So go out there, start building your asset column, and create the future you deserve.
I love it.
Remember, the journey to financial freedom begins with a single step.
It's so easy to get bogged down in just, you know what's right in front of you,
Yeah, the day-to-day.
and lose sight of the bigger picture.
Absolutely.
That's why I think that exercise is so powerful. Just taking a moment to imagine what you really want
Yeah,
your life to be like,
yeah.
and then start taking steps in that direction.
And it doesn't have to be some huge, massive change right away.
Right.
Just small, consistent actions.
Yeah, maybe it's putting aside a little bit each week to invest, or reading a book about personal finance,
Right.
or even talking to a financial advisor.
Yeah, exactly. Every journey starts with a single step.
Right.
And the more knowledge and experience you gain, the more opportunities you'll see opening up to you.
Yeah, it's like a snowball effect.
Exactly.
The more you learn, the more action you take, the more momentum you build.
And it's not about comparing yourself to others.
Right.
We're trying to get rich quick.
Yeah.
It's about defining what financial freedom means to you
Yeah.
and creating your own plan to achieve it.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I think the big takeaway is that financial literacy is empowering.
Absolutely.
It's about understanding how money works so you can make it work for you.
It's about taking control of your finances and designing the life you want.
So to our listener out there, we hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought and maybe even inspired you to take some action.
Yeah, remember.
Remember, the power to create the future you want is in your hands.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.